are you? This is Kendall Bonner. I am so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us for 10 plus tips and strategies to boost your lead conversions. Now, I don't know about you, but maybe you need to know a little bit about me to maybe even have a little understand why I'm talking to you about this today. So, my name is Kendall Bonner. I'm a former broker owner. I'm a current team leader of the Kendall Bonner team here in Tampa, Florida. And, I want to tell a little bit about my journey to help me explain to you how we got here today. So, like I said, I've been in real estate since 2011. I'm an attorney. I'm a former broker owner. And about 2 years ago, I started a real estate team. And I started this real estate team honestly with a lot of fear and a lot of hesitation. And where did that stem from? Honestly, that stemmed from, I was afraid I'd have to go back into the home and start doing listing consultations and presentations again. I was afraid that, where would the business come from? I hadn't been working my sphere for years, right? And so I finally decided that I wanted to do it, and I did it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I love technology and I love marketing, and I wanted to test my knowledge, see what I learned would play out in practice. The second reason I did is because I wanted to help agents. I wanted to help agents who were either new in the business and needed more than just training to get a lift and to get started in the business. I also did it because I wanted to help agents whose sphere of influence wasn't big enough to support a career or a business. So in having this mission and this value proposition, I decided to start a team 2 years ago. Now, when I started this team, it was a fun journey. I learned from my friends. I called up my colleagues. I asked them questions. I picked their brain to help myself level up in that experience and to do a little bit better than if I would have tried to do it all alone, right? So one of the things, though, that I am proud to say that we did was in 2022, our first full year in production as a team, I was able to take brand new agents and some, what we'll call underperforming agents and do over 100 transactions and about 44 million in volume in our first full year as a team. I'm really proud of those numbers. And we did that without a sphere of influence. We did that without relying on Zillow leads. And we did that with, just really going all in on marketing and finding how to convert leads or opportunities that were online and turn them into actual customers. Speaking of that word, I hate that word leads. I'm going to use it today because we all use that language. But honestly, I like to use the word opportunities because every customer, every client, every contact you come into relationship with is a representative of an opportunity. So thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I also want to thank the sponsor of this event, Realty.com. I want to thank Ryan, who's in the background helping me host and produce and direct this. I appreciate you so much. It's 10 times better because you helped me do it. So thank you guys. All right, so let's get into these tips. The first tip that I want to talk about is the best way to compete is not to compete. Now, everyone I find in real estate, we typically want what I would call, or what we often refer to as the low-hanging fruit, right? This is where they mistakenly believe that it's easiest to convert that business, right? When in fact, it's often the most difficult because it's the most competitive. Let me give you an example. When someone goes online and goes to Facebook, for example, and they post, hey, I'm looking to buy or sell a house, right? What happens? We all know what happens, right? They get bombarded with recommendations, agents raising their hand, right? They're all saying, hey, I want to, help you. I can help you. I can help you. I can help you, right? Well, no one decides one morning that they want to buy a house, right? So because of that, they don't get up. You don't just get up one morning and say, I'm going to buy a house today and then just start looking. It's actually a journey or a process, right? So, customers take time to think about it. They do their research, they investigate, they process their decision. But think about it. When is that often done? And so when does that often start? It starts online. So when we go after that business on Facebook that says, hey, I'm finally decided and ready to go home shopping, or I'm ready to talk to a realtor to list my home, that is actually the most competitive time to try to work with someone. Versus if we catch them earlier in their process, then maybe perhaps that's a lot less competitive. Oops, sorry about that. So I want you guys to focus on finding people at the top of the funnel. That's one of my first tips in not competing. There's little to no competition here. When they're on that journey and running through that process of, am I ready to buy a house or am I ready to sell my house? And they're doing their investigation, they're doing their thinking, they're doing their processing. This is a great time for you to find them and connect with them. Because what happens is when buyers and sellers aren't ready yet and they're doing that investigative process, they're often being ignored, right, by the rest of the marketplace. Because remember, most of us are looking for that low hanging fruit, right? That ready today, ready right now client. All right. So, next, what you focus on expands, right? So if you focus on people who are in their research phase, you have the opportunity to connect with them and build those relationships with them long before anyone else does, right? And we already know that people want to work with someone they actually trust first, knows like second, and know last. And maybe knowing about you is better than actually knowing you, right? Actually. So, how do we build that? Here's a pro tip. Guys, fix your bios. And not only do you need to fix them, but you got to make them easy for people to find you. One of the things I actually get complimented on all the time is my bio page and my reviews. If you go to my website, there is a page specifically for learn about my agents. There's this page specifically to learn about our staff. There's a page specifically to learn about me. And I tell a story there, and I share some of my journey and my professional accomplishments. And so because I call it my humble brag, but because I have it there, people can watch videos that I've participated in, read articles I've been quoted in and or wrote myself. They can build into their own mind this perception of who I am without ever meeting me. And in that process, I'm building know, like, and trust without them ever actually meeting me. And so it allows them to know about me before they actually know me. And you can do the same. It's all duplicatable what I've done. I've made it easy for them to find me, and I made it easy for them to learn about me online, and you can too. So again, best way to compete is not to compete. So let's talk about this next one. Are you transaction-based or relationship-based? Related to what I just talked about in that last tip, a lot of us are often building the relationship after the transaction, but that's not truly being relationship-based. Now, I have something I like to tell people. There's two groups of people you know and people you don't know. Which one is bigger? Tell me in the comments, which one's bigger? All right. Obviously, the people you don't know is bigger. Now, which one should you be prospecting to? I want to hear you guys in the comments. Well, regardless of what you said, the answer is both, right? You should be prospecting to both. So with that being said, we want to consistently grow our list of prospects, right? A lot of the time, our sphere of influence list, it needs constant refreshing at the end of the day. So you've got to be bringing in people that you don't know into your pipeline every single day so that you can continue to do the amount of business that you want to do every day. And honestly, most of us do not have 25 transactions worth of sphere of influence in our for our business every year, right? Most of us have 2, 3, maybe 5 typically, and we're relying on our sphere though to generate other referrals and other opportunities. But it's also important that we are doing things to help attract people into our pipeline as well. So, one pro tip I have about this too, when thinking about sphere and refreshing it and, being relationship based, stop calling people you've already transacted with past clients. We're like one of the only industries that call clients past clients, which denotes this concept that we no longer will work with them. And what does that mean to us? Typically, when we call someone a past client, we don't call them anymore. We don't think about them. We don't prospect to them. Instead, I would say stop calling them a past client and call them a future home seller. Call them future home buyers. You will call a future client all day, every day, won't you? Right? So, I believe that if you change your language to future home sellers, like we do in our CRM, like we don't even allow it to be titled a past client. Everyone once it gets closed, it gets moved to being titled future home seller or future client, right? Because people won't call past clients, but you will a future client. So I say this: change your mindset, change your language, and you can change your business. The next tip I have here for being relationship based versus transaction based is leap into relationships. The first one is listen. You guys know I love a good acronym. So I have probably a few acronyms for you today because that's just my nature. I like to do that. The first acronym for the day is leap into relationships, right? So you've got to listen. It starts with listening, right? In order to listen, you have to ask lots of questions. I think too many of us get into presentation mode. We hog the mic. We think that the more we're talking, the more in control of the relationship or the conversation we're in, and that's simply not true. The person who's in control of the relationship is the one asking the questions, right? So one of the things that we've talked about in our team, and that our agents practice, is yet another acronym: wait. Right. And that is something one of my agents brought to our attention from an article she read in Inman by Bernice Ross, I believe. And WAIT stands for why am I talking? Right. Why am I talking? So it means wait, let the customer finish their story, let them speak, so then you can actually hear what's happening in their life. Right. And so I say this: a tip we talked about is pressing the mute button. When you're on the phone with a customer or a client or a prospect, is ask your question and then mute yourself. Make yourself have to unmute before you can speak, and that'll slow down the pace of that conversation and allow you to truly listen to what they're saying and get you in the habit of not interrupting your client while they're talking, right? So, and also too, I say this: silence can be the best conversation starter. It's also a great negotiating tool, but it's also a great conversation starter. And then when you're listening to them, what are you listening for? Well, you're listening for their changes in their life. You're listening for challenges. You're listening for their goals. Then you can know how to apply the next steps, and then you can figure out what matters to them, and you can speak to the things that are important to them and not to the things that you think might be important to them. So stop presenting, pause your talking, and try not to hog the mic when you're listening to your customers as you're leaping into relationship with them. The next letter in LEAP is the E for educate. This is not just about educating yourself, it's educating the customer. But educating the customer requires you to educate yourself first, right? So grow your knowledge, grow your skills, grow your community of resources. And then are you working on that every single day? I find that too many agents don't work on the equipment, the skills, the tools that they need to lift their business up. So I would say focus on getting yourself educated so then you can employ your superpower, which is the power to educate the consumer. Because regardless of what we experience or know, they know less than we do about our profession and the journey of real estate. And then A is assist. Our job in relationships with our clients and customers and friends and colleagues is to be of assistance to them, right? So be a resource, be a community ambassador. Who do you know that can help them, whatever they need, right? Whether it's related to their home or not. Maybe it's knowing a financial advisor. Maybe it's knowing a good painter. Maybe it's knowing a good hairstylist, right? But are you collecting people that you can then refer them to? And not only that, are you learning the careers and aspirations and goals of your clients, so that when you find out that you have a great client who also happens to be a great hairdresser, are you referring them business as a community ambassador to others, right? So the point is to consistently offer to serve them, assist them, and help them find the answers that they need. And then last but not least, a relationship requires you to think about protecting them, right? Addressing their concerns. Don't avoid them, right? A lot of times we avoid their concerns, especially when we're afraid that we can't fix them, solve them, or don't know how to solve them, right? So address them, don't avoid them, acknowledge them. That's also super important, is just acknowledging them. And because by knowing their fears, by knowing their concerns, you can then offer the solutions and strategies that will help put them at ease and make them more comfortable in working with you. How am I doing so far? We're on tip number 3, y'all. Upgrade your follow-up. Now, Why will I say that? What will I say about this? I like to remind people that we all use a GPS every single day. I actually use my GPS in my car even when I'm going home and I know exactly where I'm going. Why do I do that? It's comforting. It provides direction for me. It just makes sure, even though I'm on autopilot, I'm still doing the turn by turn, following those instructions like I should be, right? But really, let's also think about what that means in just generally speaking, and then also as it relates to our business. A GPS is important because you need a starting point, you need a destination, and then you need turn by turn instructions in order to get from where you are to where you want to be, right? So, what is your GPS? What is your goal? What is your plan? What is your strategy, right? It's the same for our business as it is in life. You have the destination as the goal, right? The plan, the strategy represent where you are and how you will get there, along with the written instructions. Take time to write out your GPS for following up with your customers. Take time to think about what's the goal. What is the end game? Is it a relationship? Is it a transaction? This should dictate how you treat them, right? If it's a relationship, you're proactively going to call them and you're going to be intentional about your calls. I find most agents are reactionary and accidentally successful, often because they don't have a process, they don't have a plan, they don't have a GPS, right? So be proactive, be intentional by putting together a GPS for yourself because you have the opportunity to be successful by design with your conversations and your activities. Next, we have the plan. You have to have a written, repeatable, scalable communication pulse with your customer. You need a healthy rhythm of calls, texts, emails, notes, meetups, right? However, you're going to engage with them. That's all part of building out relationship. But it's got to be something that has a pulse and a rhythm, something that you can duplicate, you can scale, you can teach to others, right? As a part of your business model. It's super important that you have this in writing and have time to think about it. And so you can implement it, right? If you don't understand it, don't know it, don't think about it, how do you duplicate it, right? And then, of course, the key to any winning strategy is consistency, right? Well, they say, marry the process, divorce the results, right? Marry the process, divorce the results. And finally, do not forget this last part. What are the next steps? Always have a next step with your customer. Failure to have a next step is a commitment to failure, in my opinion. And I think it's the biggest mistake a lot of agents make. They don't set an expectation for what the next step is. Even if the next step is just a follow-up, even if the next step is I'm going to send you X, if the next step is a question, right, that you're asking an answer for. That is the beauty of this. And that is one of the ways that I feel you can improve your follow-up and improve your conversion of opportunities. The next one is pick up your phone. Now, most of you think that when I say pick up your phone, you think I'm talking about outbound calls. I'm also talking about inbound calls, right? We have a problem answering our phones. We have to admit it's a problem. Statistics from Conversion Monsters, Zillow, Realty.com, they all report an answer rate of anywhere from 40 to 50%. And this is when we know that they have live humans on the line ready to talk to us and ready to speak to us, and we still don't answer the phone. This baffles me that we know who's calling and we still don't answer. So I want to encourage you to change the name of when you have a portal or an ISA or someone calling you with warm leads and warm transfers. Change the name on that contact. Don't put ISA, put Moneyline, put my dreams are calling, label it something like gold mine, or whatever it is that inspires you. My future is calling. My next customer is on the phone, something like that. Because we absolutely have to do better. In fact, if you Google, for Google, if you don't answer your phone, like if you're on one of their Google ads, if you don't answer your phone, they will intentionally stop showing your ad and will stop sending you leads, right? And these are sometimes the hottest leads you're going to get, right? So a very simple way to increase your conversion is to increase your answer rate. I think your goal should be 95%. 95% of the time you should answer your phone, not 50% of the time, not 25%, 95%. you need to answer your phone. And you also need, of course, to pick up your phone to make outbound calls as well. Now, let's talk about why this is important. There's three main considerations that I think are important for why you need to make phone calls inbound and outbound. Number one is speed. You got to be speed to lead, right? You want to get your offer in front of people first, right? That is one way to increase your conversions is by being the first to talk to them. A second way to increase your conversions is quality. Have a better offer than everyone else. Take time to think about it, right? What can you do better than your competition, than your peers, than your colleagues that you're not talking, that you need to get in front of them to share with them, right? For example, I had a listing strategy where I would tell a seller, Mr. and Mrs. Home Seller, the typical agent is going to offer you two options: list with me or don't list with me. I'm a modern agent. I have more than one option for you. I have the ability to help you list your home in the open market, list your home on the list it as an off market property as well. We can also help you buy before you sell before you buy, get you a cash offer. We can do an auction. We can also provide curb appeal strategies and staging and. I've just given them so many more options. And now my offer looks better than my competition. You can do the same thing too. And then, so that's quality. Next, it's quantity. Another way to increase your conversions is by focusing on quantity. You must be better at getting your offer in front of more people. How do you get in front of more people? Some agents are using funnels. Some agents are using retargeting. Some agents are using portals. Some agents are using PPC ads, social media ads, but you need to get your offer in front of more people. That is another way that you can increase your conversions. Remember, opportunities don't go away. They go to someone else. So find your focus on one of those three, if not more than one, so that you can improve that. And then here too, when talking to leads and answering your phones, another quick tip that I picked up from Veronica Figueroa recently. So I got some pro tips in there for you guys, which is, are you using their name 5 to 7 times in the conversation? That's a skill set thing that you can do to improve your conversions, is improve your skill set. So are you using their name multiple times? Why is this important, Kendall? Well, one of the reasons why is because what happens when I say your name? If I call you out online, over the phone, what happens? You pay attention, you answer, you perk up, you're listening, right? The more you use their name, you prevent them from drifting off or being unfocused on what you're actually saying, because by using their name, you're calling their attention. It's something we've learned since childhood, since birth, right? When we were babies, our moms and dads would say our name over and over and over again. And what did that do to us? That trained us to, when someone calls my name, I look up, I respond, and I pay attention. So super important to use their name. Next, tip number 5, embrace one-to-one video. All right. Why are you still avoiding video? Please tell me. I don't understand it. Think about it. If you are afraid by using video to get personal and vulnerable, why do you expect the customer to get personal and vulnerable with you right away as well, right? It's just not fair, right? So if you want them to get personal and vulnerable with you, which is often required to build a relationship in order to transact in real estate, you also should have to do it too, right? It just helps. It eases it, right? So I would say to you guys, underthink it, all right? Don't overthink it. There are so many simple one-to-one videos you can do. And I'm not talking about TikToks and Reels and stories. I'm not talking about those videos. For those of you that are like, I'm not on social media, this isn't about social media. This is about creating one-to-one videos that you can personalize and send to customers that help establish that trust, like, and know, right? Because I'm going to use it backwards, because I think it normally should happen in that way. They have to decide they're going to trust you before they will work with you, right? That's their number one thing, because they can know you and they can like you. And if they don't trust you, they're not going to work with you, right? So what are some simple videos? Now, mind you guys, I have written, probably multiple articles, videos, content on video, right? And what types of videos to send, stuff like that. I mean, honestly, you can go into Inman and search. And because I did ask Inman, because I used to write a lot of columns for them, to unlock them so that you can see them. You don't have to have a subscription. But if you want to read some, there's like practical tips and tricks on how to implement video into your life and into your business that you can take away. So without repeating all the content in there, let me give you a couple of quick little one-to-one video samples that you can be sending to your customers to help build relationship. One, an intro video. Let's start there. That one's simple. Hi, I'm Kendall. I'm a licensed real estate professional in Tampa, Florida. I've been doing this since 2011. I'm also a real estate broker, and I'm also a Florida licensed attorney. And I would love to help you along your journey as you're making decisions, having questions, and deciding what you think is best for you and your family in buying a home in Tampa. I don't know, something like that. Very simple. You just make it up. You also have AI today that will help you write something. But you can just do an introductory video. That's one. Number two, we are showing houses every single day, right? Hopefully you're looking at houses. You have the ability to show a property and make property visits every day, right? Well, maybe when you're showing homes for that relocation buyer that lives in Texas, but is buying a home in Tampa, and I do a quick video tour of the home and talk through, maybe I do the same video without personalizing it and hand it off to someone else who I think that home might also apply to, right? Hey, I'm looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Wesley Chapel. This home is a pool home. It's even got a fence. So if you have pets and animals, like, this is fantastic. It's also in a subdivision. So, there are some rules and regulations that come with subdivisions, but, otherwise, like, I really think this is a great property. It's got a great price on it. I did some homework on it, and it's priced 1% below its competition, right? It's a great deal. These are very easy videos that you can do. Also, you can do a video that's as simple as, hey, Sally, I was just thinking about you. How are you doing? I was looking at some homes today, and I saw this home that reminded me of you. I just wanted to check in to see, are you still interested in buying this year? Super simple video. You can do a video about, check out this new restaurant, this current event, this activity happening in your area. This is great for people who are relocating from other communities into Tampa, right? So that's another great video that you can do, and you can record it and send it one-to-one via email, via text, via direct message, whatever your communication style is with that customer. You can also take a video that you shared on social media and send it one-to-one to prospects, or as a batch email to your prospects, your clients, and your partners that you're working with. Maybe also tell them about your day. Right? Hey, Denise, I know people often wonder what realtors do all day. Well, today my day went like this, and I blah, 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 blah. I showed 3 homes. I wrote an offer. I did some homework for a listing presentation that I have tomorrow. I built up all the documents so I could prepare them to make sure that my client, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, has all the information that they need in order to make an informed decision about real estate. What was your day like today? I hope it was as productive as mine. That's a great quick little video you could send one-to-one to a customer. And then last but not least, share a story about a positive client experience that you recently had, right? Tell the customer about the closing you had yesterday and how important it was that that family got that home and what it meant for them, how it's going to change their life, and just how honored and humbled and grateful you are to have been a part of that journey. Explain how it was a 10-month journey and that it took you guys several months. And this is why inventory was low. We were waiting for the right time with interest rates. We also had to timely plan it so they could get out of their lease with the least amount of penalty. There's a story behind every transaction that you do. Record a quick video about it and share it with others. That, again, will help them build trust, and know. Because, again, they don't have to know you as long as they know about you. And then, of course, I have my favorite app that I like to use for recording videos. That is BigView. BigView is an app that helps me write out my scripts. They even have artificial intelligence that they built into the app to help me write out scripts. I can use it as a teleprompter. So for those of you that are like, I don't know what to say, or you want to think about what you want to say before you hit record, you can write a script and it'll work as a teleprompter for you right on your phone so that you can feel comfortable and confident with the message that you are trying to deliver. Now, I started out using the teleprompter. I now don't use it as much. I will get in front of the camera now and just say, all right, I know what I want to say. I'm just going to get on there and say it. It's progression, right? It's progress over perfection. It is just taking action, taking steps. And as you take action, guess what happens, guys? Your skills get better, right? You get more comfortable, you get more confident. You get to a place where maybe you can do something like this, where you're sharing your story, your lessons, your tips on a live webinar video for all the world to judge, which is what I'm doing right now. I can't even see the comments, and I'm trying not to look at them on purpose because I don't want that to derail me. So if you're saying nice things in the comments, thank you. And if you're being mean and judging me, like, hey, you do this. So I'm kidding. But my point is that Big View is a great app for you to use, right? To, like I said, you can use it as a teleprompter to help build confidence and help you build experience with recording videos. You can use it to add closed captioning. Again, if you're recording content and not adding closed captioning, you're missing 80% of your audience. Most people will watch a video if they can read along with it, okay? Because we can't always listen to the audio. Also, too, it allows you to do intros and outros. You can apply a green screen all in one app. So I love that app. That's a QR code to a discount link if you want to use it. You don't have to download it. If you want me to do a video on how to use Big View, put that in the comments. I'd love to do a video for you as part of this webinar series. Dig into the app, show you all the things, all the functions of it, because I really do believe in it. There's more than one app out there. There's tons of them. This is just one that I've used for many, many years and helped me get to the level I'm at today and the comfort level I have today with video. Hey, Gary, I see you. That's awesome. Hopefully I'll see you next week. So excited. So if you want a class, like I said, put that in the comments for me, type Big View, and that will let me know that you are interested in a class on one-to-one video. All right. Number 6, address their fears, not yours. First, let's start with your fear. Your fear of rejection. This is why you don't pick up the phone, whether inbound or outbound calls, because you're afraid you're going to be rejected. And you don't do what you say you will do because you're afraid of their rejection. Well, let me share with you how their perceived rejection is actually not about you. Let's say you walk into a store. I think we've all can say we've been into a store called Best Buy, right? We all know what kind of store that is. You walk into a store, Best Buy, and what happens as soon as you walk in? Literally, as soon as you walk in, you're greeted by someone because they're standing at the door saying, hey, how can I help you? Can I help you find anything? And what do we always say? No, thank you. I'm fine. I'm just looking, right? Rejection, right? We just rejected their help. But the truth and the reality is that we don't normally go into Best Buy to browse. That's a store where typically we're going with intention. We are going in that store because we want to buy something that we believe will be there, right? And so, and the other fact is we can't get out of that store with what we want without engaging with someone that works there, okay? And then half the time we get in there and we're looking around like, where's that person that was supposed to help me, right? Because we rejected them, they left us alone, right? We got ignored. And then now we're pissed off because we're ignored, right? Well, listen, this is the same thing that happens to everyone in every sales scenario. We all have this automatic no thank you that lives in each of us. So I say to you, don't take it personal. I say it's a reflex no, because everyone has their own fears, right? And so because of that reflex no, we tend to feel rejected, and then we stop doing what we said we're going to do, when in fact, it was never even about us. So again, how do we make it about them, right? Well, it's important that we stop to speak their language on their level. So don't avoid talking about the things that they fear, especially if it's because you think that you can't fix it. Just address it head on. So what are some of their fears? What do they look like? All right. First is FOMO, fear of missing out. They're afraid they're going to miss out on deals. They're afraid they're going to miss out on opportunity. They're afraid that the next best house is right around the corner and that they missed it, right? This is one of their fears, right? Well, one of the things that we can say to them is, don't worry, I won't let you miss out on any great deals, because that's often what they're afraid of, right? Another fear that they have is FOPO, right? Fear of other people's opinions, right? They're afraid that their parents aren't going to like the decision they make. Their partner isn't going to like the decision that they make. Their mentor or grandparent or children or whatever, they have fears that other people are going to judge their decisions, right? This is one of their fears. Well, you can say to them, I bet you're a bit like me. I like to explore all of my options and make sure I know exactly what I'm saying no to, right? I like to know exactly what I'm saying no to before I say no. Or you could say, I bet you're a bit like me. I like to do all my research so I feel comfortable and confident in my decision. I'm addressing their fear without them even saying their fear, because they're going to say, never tell you, I'm afraid of X. How do you figure out what they're afraid of? Put in the comments. How do we know what our clients are afraid of? How do we find out? You ask lots of questions. We have to ask questions, and that's how they'll reveal to us what their concerns are, what they're afraid of, what they're looking to achieve, right? And then we can speak to them in their language and address it head on right away. And again, increase our conversions. And then FOJI, who knows what that one is? I'm very curious if anybody knows what FOJI is. Well, FOJI, or I don't know, what we're going to call this FOJI. FOJI is fear of joining in, right? So this is their fear that they're going to join in to this and somehow get screwed or somehow get have a problem, right? Like they're afraid to join in because they're afraid that they're following a bad example, for example, right? So, here we can answer that with saying, I'm not sure if it's for you, but we offer a no obligation consultation on the market trends, latest inventory, and the home buying process. So you understand exactly what to expect and everything you need to know to make the best decision possible. Do you see how with each of those fears, I think we can all admit that we've had clients with at least one or more of those fears, right? Well, those three objection handlers or scripting are all three ways that we can address those concerns and also speak to them on their level and that and in their language in a way that doesn't embarrass them, cause them to feel insecure and things like that, right? Because all of those are positive reinforcements of in order to address those fears. Also, for those of you that are in the know, do you guys know not where I got that from, but the framework, the strategy that I used in there? Who knows that? Who knows the framework and the strategy that I used to craft those three objection handlers to a client's fear? Do you guys know in the comments? Well, there's a great book. And if you haven't read it, it's a game changer. And if you have read it, you know it's a game changer. And that is exactly what to say for real estate agents. And that is by, oh my God, why am I forgetting his last name? For you guys probably know in the comments. And after this is recorded and online, I'll try and put it in the notes what the name of the author is. I don't know what, Phil, that's his name. It's Phil. I forgot his last name. I'm sorry. It's not in my notes, but you guys know what it is. You guys will say it in the comments for me. You guys know, but that is a fantastic book. And it's so worth the read. It's a quick read. And I recommend not only buying the book in hardback, but also listening to the Audible. That one's a great one. Yes, Phil Jones. Thank you. Phil Jones, Chris Smith. Thank you. I'm so sorry. But really great book. For you guys to check out and totally worth the read and will totally change the way you speak to customers and improve that skill set so that you can handle objections in a way that works for your customer as well. So, and then last tip here is remember that sometimes any delay on their part is just simply their fear of your rejection of them because they don't want to waste your time, because they're not ready yet, or because they just don't know where to start. So we're each avoiding one another because we're both afraid of the other rejecting us. It's our job as a professional to push past that and to, address their fears. And remember, their fears are not about us. They're their own, and we're the professionals. All right, how are we doing, guys? Are you guys still with me? Next, we need to make deposits in the relationship bank, right? So many of us are take, want. Who's going to give me a deal here? who's sent me a referral, who's going to be my next client to purchase their next home, or their next listing. We don't focus on giving. We consistently focus on what we feel we need, or how much money we need to make, or hey, I need to pay my mortgage, so I need a closing, right? But for example, if you think about a time when you went to a holiday party, for example, and you were told, oh, no gifts, don't bring gifts. But of course, someone gives you a gift, or someone that's likely to have a gift with your name on it. Your natural instinct is to want to give them something back. It's natural, it's human. So when someone does something for you, you feel obligated in a way to reciprocate or do something for them in return. Guys, there's a name for this. It's called the law of reciprocity. All right. And you can trigger this instinct in others by being a giver and doing unsolicited, kind, thoughtful, and helpful things. Right. So now, not everyone does something nice expecting something in return. That's not what I'm talking about here. It's just important to understand the concept. Like, for example, our team core value is to serve regardless of opportunity. Right. And as one of my agents likes to say, hopefully through that experience, I'll earn the opportunity to work with that client later. Right. So this is important, though, is because we keep asking for business and trying to make withdrawals from the relationship equity account without making any deposits. So you can't make withdrawals on an empty account. So what type of deposits are you making? And by the way, that concept has come from, a couple of coaches I've heard it say in books, but also too, my coach, John Cheplack, has always been really good at enforcing. It's so important to give value, make deposits in the relationship equity account so that you can then reasonably make a withdrawal and institute that law of reciprocity and not feel guilty about it because you know that you've done your part. So let's talk about what your value proposition is. What type of value are you offering and how are you making deposits? First is education. Are you building your knowledge and sharing, and better yet, sharing that knowledge? So many of us build knowledge, we learn, but we don't go out and share it. And I'm telling you, that is one of your superpowers. You have the superpower to share the knowledge that you've learned with your clients and help them make better, wiser decisions. The next value you have is expertise. This is your skill. Are you working on your skills every single day? Now, I will tell you, people often confuse education with expertise, but there is a difference between knowledge and skill. You need both. All right. Next, tools. Do you have access or give access to tools that create efficiencies or benefits in the eyes of the consumer? This is something else that you can be using as a deposit in the relationship bank, right? Then you've got resources. Do you have a bag of resources, right? These are people, connections, helpful links, discounts, hacks, alerts. All of those things are resources that you can be providing to your customer on a regular basis, thereby making deposits in that relationship equity account. And then last but not least, time. Do you have the time to save them time? Focus on that. Think about that. I'm gonna say that again for the people in the back. Do you have the time to save them time? Because again, it's not about you, it's about them. That's another value proposition that we can offer and make deposits in the relationship equity account. All right. Next, number 8. Do you have written, documented processes? Now, I'm a lawyer and I'm a broker. So I have a saying. You should write this down. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. All right, I'm going to say that again. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. Another one that I say all the time is don't just think it, ink it. Don't just think it, ink it. We need to be able to articulate a clear, complete, and consistent message of help, support, knowledge, and expertise. And the only way to do that is by having it in writing. Now, why is this important? People will trust and follow a process. As humans, we have been trained from birth to trust and follow process. Examples are the education system, right? We go to kindergarten, then we go to preschool, we go to kindergarten, we go to first grade, then we graduate, go to middle school, then high school. This is a process. And we don't typically skip it. Now you can quit going, but we typically don't skip process. We typically follow the process, right? Of our education. Buying groceries or going shopping, there is a process. You walk through the aisles, you pick out your items, you put them in a cart, you take them to the counter to check out, you pay, you bag it, and you leave. You leave the cart behind. That's a process. It's documented. We follow it. Everyone does it the same way every day. There's recipes. Recipes represent a process. Basically, if there's a process for things, we know them, we will trust them, and we will follow them. Do you have a written process for your business that you take your clients through in terms of journey? The other beautiful thing about processes are they're duplicatable. Processes are repeatable, scalable, and consistent. There is no value if it's not duplicatable. Let me say it again. There is no value if it's not duplicatable. So how do we communicate that process? Well, a couple of tips here. Number one, tell a story of how your process has worked before. This will help you convert more opportunities. As if you can articulate to them how you've helped other people, right? People will accept what you can logically and tangibly explain, right? That's something my coach taught me. It's like people will accept and trust what you can logically and tangibly explain. Now, the other thing you can do is you can let someone else tell a story and about how your process worked. And you can accomplish that through reviews and testimonials, whether it's in print or you get video, right? Those are also very effective ways to communicate your process to others. Now, let me tell you what happens if you don't. The alternative, if you don't articulate this process, is imagine this story. Imagine you worked for Betty, and Betty had what she would define as this awesome experience with you, right? You guys texted every day. You found her home, or you sold her home. It doesn't really matter, on her timeline. It wasn't a perfect transaction, right? I mean, none of them ever are, but everything worked out in the end. Right? And so Betty's generally very happy that she worked with you. So as a result, what happens? Betty tells Karen to co-work with you, right? So she refers you to Karen. And, honestly, because you're a little busier and you don't have everything that you do like in writing, so you don't really have work from a checklist, you kind of are like, no, I just know what I do, right? You're that mindset. Well, the situation arises, you're a little busier now than working with Karen than you were with working with Betty, because not only do you have Karen, you have Mark, and you have Sam and Chris, and you have so-and-so and so-and-so. And because you have no documented process, Karen does not have the same experience with you. In fact, she doesn't enjoy working with you at all, right? She experiences some of the things that Betty raved about, she experiences none of the things, that Betty raved about, right? So guess what happens? Karen stops returning your phone calls. In fact, she goes further. She tells Betty how terrible her experience was. And now what happens? You've lost 2 clients because you've lost Karen, and now Betty will never refer you ever again. And now Betty's questioning whether working with you was ever the right thing to do. This is a consequence of having an undocumented and non-duplicatable process. Tip number 9, we're going to apply the platinum rule. Who's heard of the golden rule? Everybody, what's the golden rule? Tell us in the chat, right? The golden rule is treat others how you want to be treated. Well, the fact is, it isn't about you. It's not about what you want. Instead, apply the platinum rule, which is to treat others how they want to be treated. So, with that being said, one of the ways that you can increase your conversions is by avoiding the golden rule. Stop thinking about you. Stop thinking about how you would want to be treated, and find out how the customer wants to be treated. Find out what they want, go and get it, and give it to them. That is the platinum rule. Now, what does that mean, Kendall? Well, that means, listening to the customer. It's leaping into relationships, right? Listening, educating, assisting, protecting. But it's also recognizing what I just learned about really not that long ago is understanding the client's 6 core needs by Tony Robbins, right? He talks about 6 core needs that we have as humans: certainty, uncertainty or variety, growth, contribution, connection, and significance. These are core needs of relationships. And I think it's so important to incorporate this knowledge Just like you would incorporate the knowledge of personality profiles, right? Like that's another way you can apply the platinum rule as opposed to the golden rule is by thinking about them. What do they need? What do they want? What's going to help them move the needle, right? When we apply the platinum rule, we're allowing them to dictate the course of this relationship in a way that serves them best, not what necessarily serves us best. Now, I'm not saying you abandon systems and processes. You absolutely keep those in place, but also you recognize and you have room for treating them the way they want to be treated. Maybe that's in the language you use. Maybe that's in how you address the fears. Maybe that's in how you communicate with them, whether it's text, email, phone calls, FaceTime, right? Customers are going to have different expectations and different needs. And so it's really important that we establish those early on and we get on the same page about them right away. Now I'm going to like divert here for a little bit because I have this concept of around expectations. I just think it's such a valuable mindset shift to have because I believe you have two choices in life when it comes to expectations. You can manage them or you can fail to meet them. What do I mean by that? Most people think they don't have expectations. I'm going to ask you, hey, Ryan, I want to go out to lunch. You want to go out to lunch with me? Yes. Ryan will tell me and I say, okay, Ryan, where do you want to eat? Ryan says, I don't care. I'm like, okay, well, let's go to Mexican. And Ryan's like, ooh, I don't like Mexican. Okay, first of all, if you don't like Mexican food, we can't be friends. That's number one. But number two, that is a form of an expectation. So one of the problems is we think we don't have expectations. Number two, even when we do, even when we don't deny them, we also always and often fail to articulate them. It's really hard to get a customer to say to you, well, I expect you to wash my car, be at all open houses, be at all showings, bake cookies, spin the light bulb in, change the light bulbs, right? Mow the lawn, things like that, right? They're not going to tell us that. But we fail to tell them what not only we expect of them, but we often fail to tell them what to expect of us. And that's how you manage expectations, in my experience. You have to tell people often, upfront and often, what to expect of you and what you expect of them. And you consistently apply this messaging throughout the relationship. You don't just tell them one time and then forget about it. You have to consistently remind them of what the expectations are as well, right? And in that, we can more effectively communicate and have relationship with them. All right, last but not least, be a pro, right? What do I mean by that? A couple of different things. Number one, just do it, but also do it better, right? It's one thing to take action. It's another thing to get really, really good at it, right? Focus on not just taking the action, but building the skill, getting better at what you do, whether it's how you communicate with customers, how you communicate with the other, the co-broke, the other agent in the transaction, how you communicate with the mortgage company, how you communicate with, all the various parties in the transaction that are involved, get better at that. Focus on getting better at that. Pay attention to that so you can get better. The other thing is professionals practice. There's not a professional athlete on the planet that gets paid big bucks that does not practice. Yet real estate professionals, we want to get paid like pros, but we don't want to behave like pros. Sit on that a little bit. If you want to get paid like a pro, you need to behave like a pro. And one of the things that pros do is they practice. A professional also practices like they expect to perform, right? A lot of us will try and skip steps and do things and not give it the full effort that it deserves because we're like, oh, I'm just practicing. But imagine going to see the Mission Impossible movie and Tom Cruise is on screen like, oh yeah, so this is a scene I'm supposed to look angry or surprised or shocked and yeah. But no, he doesn't treat his business that way. He's going to go full out every single time, every take, because he wants to make sure that final take is one of his best performances ever. We need to have that same kind of mentality about how we apply our skill sets to the business. So my question for you is, are you focused on building your skills? Do you practice daily? Are you refining your skills? What are you saying on the phone? Are you leveraging scripts? How strong are your rapport building skills? How strong? Are they good? Are they truly good? Are you hogging the mic? Are you doing too much talking? Are you asking enough questions? These pro tips I would give to you to help you improve on this. Number one, there's a game that I taught my agents to play to help them get better asking questions. And basically, what you do is you get with another person and each person takes turns asking questions. So I'll ask you, I'll say, hey, Sarah, how was your day today? Sarah has to respond, my day was great, Kendall. How was yours? And then I would say, Sarah, my day was fantastic. I did this, this, and this. What are you doing later this afternoon? And then she would have to answer, and so on and so forth. And we just go back and forth, back and forth. So you answer the question or you say what you're going to say, and then you follow it up with a question. Every time you have a conversation with a customer or a prospect on the phone and you allow them to ask the questions, you lose control of the conversation and you lose the ability for you to learn about them, right? Because there's always time to answer their questions. In fact, if once you hear what they need, it's easy for you to then share with them the solutions that they can then answer or get those answers at a later time if they even need additional answers, right? Because you might have already answered it once you know exactly what they need. Next, role play 3 to 5 times a week. Get committed to that. Do that with your team members. Do that with your colleagues. Do that with your spouse or your partner or a friend or colleague. Just practice. Focus on getting better and get feedback on it. Next, record your calls and listen back to them. Sis, bro, that will change the game for you. It will get you real crystal clear on what you're saying, how you're saying it, what your delivery is like, so you can really improve and really improve at that skill set. Again, allowing yourself to get feedback from others as well as yourself, just listening to yourself over the phone. And then, of course, last but not least, write on an outline for how a successful conversation could go. Record yourself saying it, and then listen to that daily. Hear that rhythm over and over and over again. Use whatever techniques you require to memorize and to learn what it is you want to deliver and what you want to say. Because again, the more confident you are, the better you will be at it, and you will be ultimately more professional. So this is a recap of our 10 tips. Don't compete. The best way to compete is not to compete. So get in early, focus at top of funnel, and talk to those clients earlier in their journey and process. And then at the end of that journey, they will want to choose you. They'll be calling you instead of you having to chase them down. Number 2, be relationship-based, leap into relationships, upgrade your follow-up, have a GPS, pick up your phone 95% of the time, both for inbound calls, and don't forget to make those outbound calls as well. Embrace one-to-one video. It's a total game changer, I promise. Address their fears, not yours. Focus on them. Make deposits in the relationship equity account. Have a written process. Don't just think it, ink it. Don't just think it, ink it. I know you need to hear that, right? You need to hear that one. And then apply the platinum rule. And last but not least, be a pro. Please, for me, pick one of these things and work on it, get better at it, and then tell me about it. I'd love to hear your story about how one of these tips helped you be better at what you do. I am in this business not for my own benefit, but I have a passion for helping others and seeing others be successful. It truly does something for me. So if you have a story of how one of these tips has worked for you, maybe you're already applying these tips, tell me about it. I'd love to hear about it. Share your story, share your journey. It means so much to me. So again, my name is Kendall Bonner. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to kendallbonner.com, and there's tons of links out there that, again, duplicate. It's been really good for me and helping me grow my business. And of course, if you want to reach out to me, you can email me at very simply kendall@realty.com. And speaking of Realty.com, thank you so much, Realty.com. Thank you for sponsoring this event. And I appreciate you so much. So I'd love to hear in the comments, was this helpful? Would you like more of these events? Can you let us know in the comments below? That would be so valuable to me to make sure I'm on the right track and helping Realty build a track of content for you. If you have specific types of content you are looking for and you would love to hear, I would love that too as well. Feel free to send me an email. And then of course, I want to thank our current Realty.com partners for being on the call today. We appreciate you. Realty.com appreciates you. And if you are not a current partner and you are interested in becoming a Realty.com partner, also reach out. You can reach out to me and I'll forward it on to the appropriate person. There's also a QR code there that you can click on that link and be able to connect with someone that you can speak to about becoming a Realty.com partner. The beautiful thing about Realty is it is your city, your lead. So that's really cool. So you get marketed on this national platform in order to generate more business, more opportunities for you, and it allows you to apply these tips that I talked about today, including giving you the ability to not compete for competition because you're talking to them at top of funnel. You're talking to them before they've made decisions to buy and sell real estate. And you have all this time between then and now to help them build relationship with you, build trust with you, build like, so that when they're ready to do transactions, they will do it with you. If you're interested in learning more, check on that code. And then my last announcement is so excited, realty.ca is launching in Canada next month. So if you're a current Canadian and realty.com doesn't exist in Canada, but realty.ca is going to be a powerful engine and tool that you'll be able to leverage to generate more business for yourself and for your team and for your company. So if you're interested in that, get on our wait list because we will be launching soon. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining me. I appreciate you so much. You guys are amazing. I'm sorry I don't have time for questions, but there'll be more panels and sessions. And of course, you can always send me an email. All right. Thanks so much. Bye.